since we got this out, Chris, not Chris the vet tech, other Chris that we did one of these before, I think earlier this year or even last year. I'll have to look it up. This is the Phi N2 motor. Neo, very simple design. I'll go ahead and I'll post them in the description as the gap dimensions, so that way it's just sort of documented. Just uses 4 bricks right there of Neo. That's it. The rest of it is steel. Big old log of steel. Big old, is this 1 block? Yeah. Real simple. I mean, and all this is just epoxied together. So, I mean, you could weld it if you wanted it to, but again, it works the same. You just want the steel in close proximity. It gets close enough, it's like, it doesn't matter if your finger's in there or not. It's going to conduct really well. The only thing I wish he had done is bore the center out, but he's got the little vents. So this one is not quite lined up, but it's fine. It vents here and it vents there. Vents on the top plate and on the pole. There is a there is a shorting ring in there, but I don't think it's isolated. Now, what you got to remember with a shorting ring is that it's got to be isolated from the rest of the motor. Otherwise, it just is part of the motor. So you want it to be electrically isolated. And that's what's funny about like what stupid Jacob keeps doing is putting that stupid flux ring in there, and then like he'll bolt it down or clamp it, or it touches. You have to like hard anodize it. It has to be isolated magnetically from the steel. Otherwise, it's just part of the steel. But what Scott did, I think he used it as a heat shield, which is really smart. And then he attached 2 big heat sinks, and then he has these little plastic things, which I think, number one, it allows you to decorate your motor. So like if you wanted to get these in pink or whatever, he would get like probably 500 or 1,000 of whatever color made, and then because you're not going to sell that many of these. I would love to know his numbers though. But the other thing is that it only uses 4 of the holes on the 5-inch pattern, which I found interesting. And then we'll look at the back. Again, this is just a big slab of steel. Really cheap to produce, really, really cheap. Yeah, this is it's just an interesting design. How some people shit on my designs, and again, I just want to be simple. So, and Scott is Scott Atwell, by the way, at Phi, who also co-founded RE Audio. He's a metal guy. He's a machinist by trade, and he also loves bass. So I would love to see some sort of interview with him. I mean, he's like, I imagine he's retired now, but I don't see him on social media. If someone could send a link to some sort of interview or something like that, that would be great. I would love to get his input on some of this design work. I'm impressed how simple it is. He actually moved to an even more simple design with even less steel. But I think he discontinued is the one with a little, he did a tri-lobe and then a quad lobe, where it has a little ring of Neo, and then the steel comes in and conducts it to the gap. I thought those were cool looking. Again, how effective they are. You kind of want this steel here to kind of keep the Neo from getting heat saturated, which it hits its curry point, and then it loses its motor strength. What's great about this design is that it's not radial like stupid Jacob's design. So that means if you do saturate it, if you do get it hot, too hot where it becomes demagnetized, you can zap it again. You can do that 1,000 times. It's not a big deal. I probably would like to see some bolts through there on the lobe design where he it's like a clover. They're like legs. On those, you can actually use a ring that has a hole in it already from the factory. So you just put a bolt through it. That way it won't shift. That's another good design too, that you can just put in the magnetizer and then zap. We're doing the control spider. I'll put a link to the control spider in the description. This is from Lord of Bass. This is their 3" by 10" control spider, and then I use the 4" by 10" for the big 600 ounce motors that I do. This is the 1 ohm 4-layer GONZO coil with the leads like that. So, and we did another one. I figured I gotta have to look back and look at the video. I think the FS was still, even with the 2 spiders, was still like 34, 35. And so it was just really, really strong, like resistive. And that's what he wanted. And he doesn't really play that much low anyway. But 1 ohm and 1 ohm, I think he's got 1 amp on each one of them, or 1 amp that's half ohm stable or something like that. So, but he's just gonna do a 12. We're gonna do the GONZO cone. And then he sent me pictures of what cap he wants to do. I forgot, but that's why I have you guys send me pictures, or when I get to doing the cap, I'll text you, and just to make sure, because I don't want to make that assumption. So, but good job, Scott. What would really be interesting is what the cost on that is, what they would sell it for. I would love to produce something like that, because it's so simple and very affordable to produce. Like, well, the embellishments are what gets me. Again, I would like to research another design for Neo that can be produced really, really cheap. Seeing there's kind of a little bit of a bump here. It's not quite square. But yeah, I may clean this up for him. What you want to do is, you can actually use water on these, it's fine. And you want to use some steel wool. You basically just wash it in the sink, and you steel wool it up, and then you let it dry really, really well. And then you can clear coat the whole thing if you want. So, but that way to keep the rust off of it. But that's the Phi car audio N2 motor. Hope I got that right. Is there an N3? I don't know. You guys tell me. Love you. Bye.